Hello, welcome to my kitchen. I am so excited to start Fall Fridays. I have a little bit of coffee here. I've been on a French press kick. Anywho, today we are making the fundamental pumpkin puree that we need for pretty much every other recipe that I'm gonna cook in this series. There are no orange pumpkins that I can find at my grocery store in Australia. I want to kind of do this recipe so that Australians can recreate what I'm doing instead of just making it easy for Americans, because in America you can find pumpkin puree and you can find the pumpkins that you need. I actually find that this pumpkin makes really good pumpkin puree. Super easy. It is a little bit time consuming, but what I like to do is put the pumpkin in the oven and then go and do some other job around the house that needs to be done. Today, I'm gonna hop on my bike and do my workout. So let's get straight into it. Now I'm gonna use this pumpkin today. So I'm going to go ahead and clear the counter and I'm gonna show you how quick and easy it is. It should take only about 5 to 10 minutes in prep work. So to start, we're gonna preheat the oven to 200 Celsius. Get the racks situated. Preheat the oven to 200. And I'm gonna get the racks situated. So I'm just gonna give it some room at the top so that the pumpkin doesn't touch too much of the heat, and get a baking sheet out as well. You'll need a baking sheet just like this, like a cookie sheet, and line it with baking paper. I have gone ahead and washed the dirt off of my pumpkin. You don't use the skin, obviously, in pumpkin puree, but that's gross. So just give it a quick rinse, dry it off, and we're gonna cut it in half. And the only other two things you're gonna need are salt and vegetable oil. You cannot use olive oil for this because it doesn't do well in that high temperature for the amount of time it needs to roast. So you need a vegetable oil, but it only goes on the skin, so it's not gonna go in the flesh, so you're not gonna get all that oily yuck. So I'm gonna turn it upside down because I find this easiest, and I don't go straight down the middle because it's impossible to cut through. So take your time in cutting this, because just use rocking motions with your knife and be very careful. Always cut away from yourself when you're doing something like this. For me personally, I would normally have my husband do this, but obviously he's not here at the moment, so I'm having to do it myself. All right, so one half is obviously gonna be bigger than the other. So you can see this has really beautiful orange flesh. I'm going to scoop out the seeds. You can save seeds. We've done that before and we planted them in the garden and they do grow pumpkins. We don't have a pumpkin from our little pumpkin patch yet, but it does work. So you can get a little bowl and scoop your seeds into there and give them a wash, and you can plant them in your garden. Or you can roast them and make pumpkin seeds. I've never done that before because I don't eat enough pumpkin seeds to want to go through all that trouble. And it's not that much trouble, but that's not the life for me. So get all of the seedy, those little bits, get them out, okay? Now, something that I like to do that is not in a lot of recipes is a little sprinkle of salt on the flesh before turning it face down on your cookie sheet. This is important because you don't want the flesh to get burned, you want it to roast. So I'm gonna do the other side. Let's do a bit of cleanup. So I've rinsed my pumpkin a bit because I got it a bit dirty. Flesh side down. Normally you want these to be perfect halves, but for the sake of not cutting my hand off, I'm just gonna do it like this. It will roast just fine. It might need an extra 15 minutes. All right, Okay, so I forgot to put the salt on this one in the flesh. This helps with flavor in cooking, even in baked goods like sweets. You always have a bit of salt. It's really great in bringing out natural flavors of foods. This part is crucial because you want the coating of the oil on the skin to kind of make a barrier so that the skin doesn't burn and it can roast for a longer time in the oven. So a bit of a drizzle, and then use your hand to just make it a coating, right? So it's nice and shiny. Now this creates that oil barrier like I was saying, so that it just doesn't burn while it's in the oven. This is why you cannot use olive oil, because olive oil will not handle very well at the high temperature of the oven for the amount of time. I'm gonna wash my hands and then we will go ahead and pop this in the oven. This is why you wanted to remove your wraps. And I'm gonna set the timer for a full hour. I have like maybe 2 minutes of cleanup to do, just the cutting board and putting these things away. You can freeze it, and I have froze mine up to a year. I've even probably done it maybe a year and a half or 2 years. So I freeze it straight away. This time, instead of just freezing it in a big block, I'm going to freeze it in ice cube trays so that if I want to just make a pumpkin spice latte, I can just defrost 1 cube. If I want to make a pumpkin smoothie, which I'm going to show you guys a recipe for that, I can just pop a cube out and I'm not having to defrost a whole giant whatever. I like doing it this way because most of the time when I pull out my pumpkin puree, I'm making pumpkin pies, I'm doing Thanksgiving stuff. It's really beneficial. It keeps really well in the freezer and it still tastes amazing. It doesn't negatively impact the taste of the pumpkin pies. I'm gonna show you guys how to do that for different recipes that I'm gonna show you guys throughout this Fall Friday series. So I'm really excited. And cue time lapse. And that's it. So I'm gonna go do my workout and I'll check back in when the pumpkins are done. Pumpkins are done. How fall aesthetic are these pants? I also have a matching shirt, so then I'm like one color, which is hot tip. If you are short and you want to make yourself look longer and taller, wear the same color or wear like matching sets. It gives the illusion that you're taller. Just saying. I learned that off I don't remember what television show it was that I was on, but everyone always thought I was so tall because of how they dressed me. And I'm not, I'm 5'2", okay? I don't even know how many centimeters that is, y'all figure it out, okay? We're gonna go do our workout. Hour on the bike, let's do it. We're back. The pumpkins have cooled a little bit. I'm gonna use my Ninja. I'm gonna use the big one. You can use the smaller ones, it just takes longer because you can only fit so much pumpkin in, so I'm not gonna use this one. You need a spoon. Don't forget your mitt so you don't burn yourself. And I'm also gonna throw on some gloves because it's a bit sticky and that's a bit annoying. It might be hot, but I'll just do like this. So it should be roasted enough that you can just literally spoon it out. Just super easy. It will come up away from the skin really easily. It smells really good. I took it out a bit earlier than I thought I would need to. It took about 45 minutes. I thought it was going to take a full hour. Oh, it's got a bit of steam. This is why you need to let it cool, so that you can handle it a bit easier, but I have to vocal coach tonight, so I am on a time frame. Probably would have let it cool for another 20 minutes, but it doesn't really matter. And then we'll go with the other pumpkin. And I'm gonna put the skin of this pumpkin in my compost bin. So let's go to the other one. Now, this is probably gonna take 2 food processors, but we'll see. What's the max line? Max. Okay, I think we're gonna need to stop. Oh, I got a little bit of skin in that one. All right, let's do this one first. Let's put our lid on. Let's lock it. That's it. That's done. I'm gonna release, oh yum. And that's it, it's pureed, it's beautiful. I am a bit sad that these aren't like white, but they're leftover ice trays that we just don't use anymore because we have a ice maker in our fridge, but I'm glad I kept them on hand. So what I'm gonna do is start pouring my pumpkin puree ice cubes. I'm going to bring y'all closer so you can see the magic. So give me 2 secs. Okay. I think I might get a spoon or one of these to, I'm gonna try not to overfill these. Set them aside to cool. Get the rest of this pumpkin out of this pumpkin. Okay, so I have a couple containers. I want to do a smaller one to save a smaller quantity, and actually that might all fit in this. We'll see. Anywho, it's as easy as that. The cleanup's not even that bad. I'm afraid this is gonna be really hot. That's good. I should have used that with the ice cubes. Oh my gosh, it's a perfect size container. I have the ice trays cooling. I'm gonna let this also cool down so that it doesn't get extra ice crystals when it freezes. So that's something to keep in mind. Let it completely cool down before you freeze it or before you pop it in the fridge. You don't want all of that extra water in there, so let that steam rise up. So I'm gonna put this one as well. That's it for today's video, all about pumpkin puree. I wanted to add, sometimes I put some saran wrap or cling wrap on top of that before I put the top on. That just keeps it from getting that freezer burn when it's in the freezer for a really long time. But I haven't had any problems when I do that. It's still really fresh and easy to use once you defrost it. I normally pop it out of the freezer, stick it into the sink for like overnight, and then it's perfect in the morning. Or you can take it out of the freezer, put it in the fridge, and it might take 24 hours to fully defrost. Really excited about this Fall Fridays series. It's a little bit more homemaker than what I normally put out, but I'm really homesick right now because I can't get back to the States, and I want all of my pumpkin favorites. I want a pumpkin spice latte. I want to participate in all of the fall activities that I normally go home for and experience in my favorite season. of life. My favorite season is fall. My birthday's in October and I just live for it. I love cozy. I don't like being super cold or super hot. So autumn is like, I love rain, I love coffee, and I love Thanksgiving. It's probably my favorite holiday because it doesn't have all the fuss from Christmas with like presents and trees. It's all about family and food and just hanging out and being in a food coma and then going to see a movie. So I wanted to bring y'all along this season while I give myself my fall fix and show you some of my favorite recipes. So I'm very excited. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Anyway, I gotta get to work. I'll see you for my next Fall Fridays.